everyone. Welcome back to another episode of Absolutely. My name is Benny. That is Sal. I'm from Comic Pop. He's from Comic Storian. And, and we're here to talk about Fall of X. Why? Because I want to rant about it, and Dan told me not to make another video on Comic Storian. But luckily, I have 8 channels. I can find a place to rant about this shit.
Yeah. That's true.
Okay, so over on Comic Storian, Sal, let me explain how we got here, okay?
All right, cool.
I've been reading Immortal X-Men, like Immortal X-Men and then X-Men, and then I've been reading like Rise, Fall, and then now X-Men Forever, okay?
Yep.
We also covered Uncanny Spider-Man, and
Yes.
so I was like, okay, well, we're like 5 issues off of a couple series on the channel.
Yep.
They're not getting good views, but I could finish the entire series
Right.
and then just put the whole video out as like a 3-hour Fall of X compilation.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Right, but in order to do that, I need to then figure out what I'm missing that is important.
Yeah.
So, step 1, I had to look up a reading order. Oh my God. First off, the entire community of X-Men fans is debating what actual order to read this.
Yes.
Like, people have just made up their own orders to read this mess.
That's right. That's right.
2, there's so much shit in this, Sal. There's so much shit, and none of it matters at all. Okay?
Well, how do you mean?
Okay, so I got a list right here. I got one of these pulled up. The overall, we can agree, the overall plot of X-Men for all of X is pretty much going to wrap up in about a week or 2, I believe. I believe the last issue of X-Men Forever comes out, and then they're going to roll forward.
I assume, yeah.
And the overall plot is that the Moira has altered the timeline so that Orcus has been able to manipulate the X-Men and everything and basically turn the world against them. Xavier has stayed on Krakoa, where he's using his powers to try and like keep them off of Krakoa, while the X-Men themselves have dispersed into various pockets. All of the X-Men that he seemingly killed aren't killed, you know. Tell me if I'm wrong. I'm just going over where we are right now. Okay.
I don't believe that Xavier's on Krakoa at all, no.
I think he's off of it now, but he was on it at first. He was like, he was keeping them off of Krakoa.
Yeah, originally he had self-exiled and then immediately left.
Yeah. No, it was like 2 issues. Because it's mentioned in Iron Man, so it was a little bit important.
Yeah, all right, fair enough.
I forget where he ended up. But we then get to Rise and Fall of X and X-Men, which is happening concurrently with all of this. One of the books is Xavier traveling through time to figure out how to stop Moira, basically the Hitler baby problem.
Yes, which we did, and that's over. And he didn't, and then he sent Rachel to the White Hot Room by murdering her. And then he went to Sentinel Prime and was like, "It's all gonna go bad." Like,
right, because one book was him going back in time, and then another book was somebody going forward in time to see if we could find an end point to this whole story.
Right. The
forward in time one to me was not relevant at all.
No,
because that was forward. At least they're going back in time kind of wrapped into that. But all the chapters of going forward, dumb.
Yes.
Like, why would we go to the end point? Like, if you're gonna time,
because we did in Powers of 10 when it first launched, and we want to see like the future. Because of course, like the thing is, Xavier sees the situation as being untenable for both mutants and humankind, and he's essentially like, all right, what we need to do here is we need to like. And I don't know if I think he's playing the long game. I don't think he's actually believing this, but like Xavier's like, we need to figure out a way to save as many people as we can. And in Powers of 10, we saw like the future is essentially like the machines win, and there's this insane future where like people are in like a preserve.
Yeah.
And he's like, I mean, a preserve beats extinction. So that's the future we're trying to essentially lead to. Yeah.
Well, so that happens. While this is going on, normal X-Men is actually just dealing with Orcus.
Yes. Well, because they don't know the plan. They're not working with Xavier, and so they're like, well, we got to take them down.
Traditional X-Men fights. Orcus this, Orcus that. You know, like they freed Cyclops. They got Juggernaut to bust out. Stuff like that. Okay.
Yeah.
We've now gotten to the point where Xavier's going to wipe out humanity to save all of the mutants And Cyclops is like, "What are you doing, Xavier?"
Yeah, no, he's not really going to do that, nor does he actually want to do that. He's not, and the whole point of him working with the with Sentinel Prime and everybody is so that he could save humanity and mutant kind, not to
Right.
wipe out.
Oh yeah, no, I think the big back and forth they had in the last issue is not going to be how it ends. Like Xavier's
Exactly.
gonna be like, "Scott, calm the down. I got a plan, yo."
I mean, I would hope at this point, yeah.
So in my research, though, I then was like, okay, well, what other? Because I've read, like I said, these are the ones that I've read, which told me the core plot.
Yeah.
So what else has gone on? Well, Wolverine had in the middle of this, Wolverine went and fought against the Ghost Rider and then became a Ghost Rider,
Yep.
and then went on a bunch of just random adventures,
Yep.
which were Fall of X related, which made no sense.
No, they were not related. They technically happened during the Fall of X. That's
What
the
I mean.
point.
No, they were related in the sense of Wolverine was doing things that he felt needed to be handled.
Yes.
During Orcus, which was
That's right.
initially kill his clones, and then it was like go to space with Spider-Man.
Yep.
Which led to the X-Men being like, "Oh, hey guys, Wolverine's alive? Why
Right.
did we assume the guy that can never die died?"
I don't know why they would ever think that.
And now even though it's not a part of it, it is a part of it.
Mhm.
Wolverine Sabretooth War is happening right in the middle of Fall of X.
Oh, I know. Yeah. Well, that's because Ben Percy's off the book, and so he wants to wrap it up, and he's been building towards it with the whole his entire run. He wanted to have it be a big bombastic wrap up with his battle with
Right, but
Sabretooth.
it's not
And so,
Fall of X.
no, but it's happening during Fall of X. You're
Yeah.
wondering where Wolverine is during that time. Well, he's over here with Sabretooth.
It's Sabretooth, Wolverine, half of X-Force.
All of the Wolverine people.
Laura's over there.
Yeah.
Like that's where they are. They aren't in Fall of X because they're doing this.
Yes, exactly.
Nightcrawler has become a Spider-Man during this. He's off in his little pocket dealing with his
Yes.
own mommy issues.
Yep, that's
Yep.
right.
Okay.
Which I think it's ended. I think that book's over.
It did
right?
end. It did end. But I'm just naming off the Fall of X tangents that we're dealing
Right.
with. But I'm trying to
Yeah,
figure out here.
Uncanny Spider-Man happened. Yep.
Yeah, that was during all of this. We have Jean Grey had solo issues that really was just her exploring herself, and from what I read, wasn't really linked.
It was her
Other than-
dying. It was
Huh?
her It was her dying, and it was essentially like a what if book. Where it
Right,
was
that's what I'm saying. Like it wasn't like, oh, we got to know what's going
Yeah.
on here.
Yeah.
Uncanny Avengers was not really. It was just them on a different corner doing their
Yep,
thing.
doing their thing. Yep. Mhm.
I just read through Iron Man, which is the most important to Fall of X out of all of these tie-ins, and it's Iron Man.
Yeah.
And that's what I was like, what are you talking? So I was like, okay, so Iron Man has Fall of X things.
Yes.
And I know he gets married to Emma Frost. So let me read all of Iron Man and see where we're at. Let me see
Yeah.
how this connects. What do I need to cover in Iron Man? Well,
Right.
you know what I have to cover in Iron Man? All of freaking Iron Man.
Right.
Because
right.
issue 1 to now is literally adjacent to Fall of X.
Right. Yeah, no, Duggan's writing Iron Man. So Duggan's going to link it in with Iron Man, and Iron Man is with Emma, and his Sentinel his technology was co-opted by Orcus, and so he's got a vested interest in seeing that taken down.
But he's the one handling that.
Yeah.
It's not like the X-Men are. And what's
No.
irritating to me, and this is why I want to make a rant about this. So I
Mhm.
read all of Iron Man. And because I read Fall of X, I know what's going on in Iron Man. Iron Man isn't telling you to read the X-Men.
No.
Iron Man is skipping around Fall of X moments.
Yes, because they know that Iron Man isn't normally an X-Men book, and we know that you're probably not going to. Unlike
Right, but the
X-Men
way they're
fans will
playing it
read
out-
Iron Man because it's called Fall of X, but Iron Man fans won't go read X-Men.
Right. Well, and that's what I'm finding weird because issues 1 through 5 was pretty much setting up where we are now.
Yes.
But it's important because it incorporates Emma Frost and incorporates the Sentinels and it incorporates, I think you pronounce it Fei Long.
Oh
the-
yeah,
the
Fei Long.
purple
Yeah.
one.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's right.
And all of that then becomes important to the X-Men plot in issues 6 through 10.
Well, and Fei
'Cause,
Long
like-
was introduced in the X-Men books, so it's we don't have enough X-Men to deal with the Fei Long story that we introduced a while back, so let's put it in Iron Man.
Right. But what I'm saying is so issue 1 through 5, everything's normal and copacetic with the X-Men. And then in 6, now they're on the run.
Yes.
And there's no rhyme or reason to it. In 5, he's chatting with Emma. In 6, it's like, come on, Emma, we got to get out of here. And by the time we get to issue 8, we have the big standoff in the middle of New York with the giant Sentinel. And he's like saving Emma Frost. And then by issue 9, they're talking about getting married. By issue 10, they're married.
Yep.
And all Fall of X is happening.
Yep.
And I only know this because I'm reading Fall of X adjacent to this. But
Yep.
Iron Man's not telling you what's going on with Fall of X. It's not telling you why Emma's on the run.
No.
It's just things like he'll be like, yo, Emma, they're hunting you right now.
Yeah.
And then it's like, but why? Why are they hunting Emma?
Right. Well, that's not
Why is
necessarily
the
relevant to
Penguin
the
at
Iron Man
Hellfire
story.
Gala? What is going on here?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I'm sure that they reference the Hellfire Gala and what happened and why the mutants are being hunted
No.
in Iron Man.
No, that's the Iron Man wasn't at the Hellfire Gala. So they're explaining to him what happened at the Hellfire Gala.
No, but I'm saying
in a
in Iron Man
single
they have
panel.
they at least they've referenced it. It's not like they just said, I don't know why you're running, but
Right, no. So what happens is there's one panel where Emma explains that at the Hellfire Gala, she basically makes a speech. But it comes down to one panel, and the speech boils down to the only reason we haven't killed all of you humans is because of like X-Men goals and we're nicer than you, blah blah blah.
sure.
And he's like, whatever, what's going on? And she's like, the Hellfire Gala, everyone died. And it's like, so that's how we're linking this? Like this one-off panel? Like,
well, I mean, what else do you want? What do you want? You want them to
is,
do it again? Like just show you the death of everybody again in Iron
tell
Man?
me what the hell's happening over there, or at least say, go read Hellfire Gala.
I mean, there should be annotations in the book, and if there aren't, that's
at a minimum. Hey, if you really want to know what happened between Emma and the Hellfire Gala, go read Hellfire Gala Annual #1.
Yeah. And there definitely should be that.
Looking at this list, this reading list, this is a 40-issue series.
Yeah.
And there's core elements like how did the Iron Man Sentinels come to be? You got to read Iron Man. That's not really explained in the X-Men.
No, it's not.
How is Emma on the run in Iron Man? Well, that's not explained really well in Iron Man. You've got to read Hellfire Gala and Fall of X related books.
Yeah.
You know, there's a specific, this is what got me to finally rant about it. There's a whole sequence where Tony goes back to Krakoa to get Emma's thing, which I found funny. She's like, it's underneath the chest with the thigh-high boots. And I'm like, oh yeah, go Emma. But he explains as he's leaving, oh, I know, I found out later that it was worse than I thought, but I was able to get away.
Right.
And it's literally, the annotation is, go read Immortal X-Men if you want to know who's here.
Right.
Like, it's Xavier. I know that because I read Immortal X-Men, but the way they're doing
it. They just told you to read it if you want to know who's there.
They didn't even specify what issue or whatever. Like, it was just, Krakoa's under assault. If you want to know what's going on, go read all of Immortal X-Men.
Exactly. Well, because it's not an event. Like, Fall of X is not an event. It's a status quo. And they are.
This has always been your counterpoint, but I argue against that because it's being treated like it's a giant ass event.
Is it? By whom? You?
No, by X-Men.
How?
Because like even the fan base is trying to sort out this event into how it should be read.
Right.
Like where everything actually fits in the timeline.
Yeah, because they're looking at it like an event.
Right. Because
it's an initiative. It's a status quo. They did the same thing during Inferno was an event, but it also was just like stuff that happened in random tie-ins. And how do they tie in? They just don't.
Right, but my point is why. Okay, here, let me ask you this then. If all of these books, and I mean all of them, they're all doing, nothing is doing anything outside of the Fall of X.
Right.
And things that are important to Fall of X are happening across the board from, Xavier and Immortal
Right,
X.
like there's big pieces and characters who are playing crucial roles in what is ultimately to come in the culmination of Fall of X. Yeah.
Right. How is this not an event and it's an initiative? Because it's not like there's there's not a Jubilee book going on the side of this.
No, but there is a Wolverine book on the side of this.
Right, but
which is an event.
He at least acknowledges that he is doing his own thing.
Right, that's true. But the Wolverine Sabretooth War, that's an event. It has first of all, it has the iconography.
Now, how is that an event when it's just in Wolverine? Isn't that an initiative?
No, because it says it right there. Because for two reasons. One of which, the event logo placement is on the top center of the books.
But
Number
the Fall
two,
of X has a logo placement.
Does it have a part? Does Fall of X have part 5? No, but Sabretooth War does. Sabretooth War is parts 1 through, I don't remember how many parts there are.
10 parts.
There's 10 parts to Sabretooth War. So there you go. That's an event. That is a number. It's a numerical designation. There are no other tie-ins. It's just what's happening it's what's happening in Wolverine, but it also is like, it's Sabretooth War. What is happening in Wolverine is Sabretooth War. That's it.
But my argument with this Fall of X thing, okay?
Yeah.
Why isn't this just a 1 through 40 thing?
Right.
Like, my argument is, okay, so I'm going to use My Hero Academia as a example.
Jesus Christ.
No, because Natalie just started watching it. So a lot of things are kind of getting refreshed for me.
Yeah.
My Hero Academia does follow one character in his journey to learn his skills and go fight a villain, right?
Mm-hmm.
But tangentially to that, we have the entire class, we have other elements, we have other characters. you could argue that it's an initiative and they could easily each have their own books, especially with the size of how popular My Hero is. We could have a fire. I'm gonna just go off the powers because you probably would recognize the powers or me give them names. But a fire and ice guy book. We could have a bomb guy book. We could have, you know what I mean, like that kind of a thing. Like my argument here is, I honestly think that if this was just a straightforward and treated like an event series where it told you where to go and what to read and what is important, it would have sold 10 times better than somebody grabbing random Iron Man issue 16, wanting to get into Iron Man. And he's not only knee deep in an Iron Man story, but knee deep in a Fall of X story. And if you are then like, oh, well, I like what's going on with Iron Man, let me check out Fall of X, and you're introduced to a 40 issue, multi-spreading span of stuff that is an initiative, even though it's all focused on one thing happening.
And Marvel is foolishly referring to it as an event, by the way.
So that's where my argument's coming in. Like My Hero will cover the equivalent of what this arc is in 50 chapters. But in Marvel, we need to have Dead X-Men, Fall of House of X, X-Men, Invincible Iron Man, Resurrection of Magneto, Rise of the Powers of X. We need to have Rise Again, X-Men Forever. We need Jean Grey. We need the Realm of X. We need Uncanny Spider-Man. We need X-Men Blue Origins. We need X-Men Unlimited. Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot. Did you know that some of the web books are involved in this too?
I don't read web books.
But what I'm saying is, like, that's what they're doing.
Yeah, that's right.
And this is where my frustration and argument is. Because I'm sitting here trying to sort this out. And there are 3 reading orders on the Reddit of people disagreeing the manner in which you should be reading this, because it is so disjointed and all over the place.
And they also screwed up the resurrection protocols. They went to the grotto where they're going to make resurrections, but they also don't have the genetic material from Sinister anymore. And they just said that they do. Like, they just didn't pay attention, and they just forgot. Dead X-Men, they don't actually explain properly how they're doing the resurrections, even though they have like a protocol in place that could explain it, but they didn't. No, there's contradictions. There are books that just have no place within this initiative that are happening.
Yeah, no, I agree with you too. Like, a great example, Miss Marvel the New Mutant. I've read some of it, but that's actually just an X-Men book over here. It's not really a Fall of X book.
No. I mean, it is because like they're on the run and they're dealing with what's happening in Fall of X as a main source of conflict within the book. So it technically falls under the banner of Fall of X. As far as reading initiatives, no, I think what they're trying to do is what they've been trying to do since Hickman left, which is like, because I wonder now, I don't listen to the podcast. I don't want to friggin' hear it. I don't want to hear it about, like, from the audience being like, Hickman went on someone's podcast and he explained it verbatim, and here's what it is, and you got to listen to it. You got to listen to 12 hours of that. No.
Hickman went on and explained.
Hickman's been on podcasts and he's basically like spilled tea about how it worked out. But like, here's how it looks. I don't give a crap about how it actually be. What matters is it looks like, and from what I remember, there's being discussion when Hickman was going to wrap it up or head towards another direction, and there were so many different creatives under the umbrella of the like Krakoa period that Hickman essentially bowed out and let these creators just kind of do whatever they wanted because they were too busy having fun, in this initiative. And it's like, go for it. But when you do that, you're going to have a bit of a disjointed nature of your stories because, like, you're having fun over here, you're doing executioners over here, you're doing this, that, and the other thing. There's all this different stuff going on, and you're gonna need like a strong-willed editor, and you're gonna need at least 1 or 2 creative forces that are gonna drive the line. And when you have your like progenitor leave because everyone just wants to keep having fun, it's gonna be a mess. And in fact, the Dawn of X books, the
like Dawn of X and stuff, that was not this disjointed.
No, but it is because like the printing of it is actually wrong because it's printed in like, I think, print order instead of actually story order. Like it's already a mess. And I'm not saying that like because it's already a mess, Fall of X gets a pass. I'm saying that like I think that the people who involved with the Krakoa period, the Krakoa post-Hickman initiative, were so focused on like having fun and telling their stories, they weren't really focused on like telling a single narrative, which is what the audience that was reading it was conditioned to expect when Hickman was working on it. And so as a result, you're like someone, and those someones were people like Jerry Duggan and the British Trinity, where they're like going in one direction. But like Gillen, Ewing, and Spurrier were doing their thing, and Duggan's doing his thing, and then the rest. And the rest is just like whoever wanted to fall on whatever side and do whatever they wanted to did. But when it comes to Fall of X and like what it is, yes, there's a story. It is an event. There is an event within Fall of X that is essentially the end of the Krakoa era. It's just that we don't have a subheading for it, so we're just going to call it Fall of X. And also, it's an initiative. We're so used to using branding and iconography to delineate what's happening in our X-Men house for the last few years since Hickman, because like we've conditioned the audience to expect like logos and initiatives and names and branding, that we lost sight of what that means. Like there is a they screwed up, but it's not hard to follow. You pick and choose what you want. What they want you to do, what the creators who are working on this book or this series or this initiative want you to do, is pick and choose. They don't want you to have to read everything.
But they're failing at that.
Are they?
No, they are, because you
are the books selling?
You're left wondering. No, are any of these in the top 10? Any of these?
I don't know.
It's so hard to track now because like
I don't know. But the thing is, it doesn't matter if they're selling like crazy as long as they're selling consistently.
I was like, the problem is like with Iron Man, instead of even filling you in on most of what's going on, they're just like, well, if you're not reading it, we're gonna not really explain it, so you don't have to.
Because
like you said, you don't have to. If
you're an Iron Man,
you don't have to.
Yeah, and you can pick and choose.
Wolverine's gonna mention that it's going on, but he's gonna do Wolverine shit.
Yes, I mean the Wolverine team up with Ghost Rider, that was actually would have been better if it had nothing to do with Krakoa.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, they want to help like change, I think, the expectations of the audience to go like, just read what you want and don't worry about the labels. We'll let marketing worry about the labels. But of course, the mistake is there is no marketing department in Marvel. So like they just slap on a logo and then put it out and call it a day, and then leave it to like Comic Herald or somebody to make a reading list for you.
Yeah, well, that's exactly what I had to find.
Yeah.
Okay, so January 2024. So I went back a few months to make sure that the numbers were concrete, done, and whatever.
Sure, yeah.
Rise of the House of X is on there. Fall of the House of X is on there.
Yep.
As number 2 for the month. So it actually did really well. Rise is on there as number 6.
Okay.
Wolverine is on there as number 12.
Yeah, but that doesn't even count. That's just Wolverine.
Resurrection of Magneto is also a core character, but that's number 15.
Okay.
And that's it.
Yeah,
None of the other ones made the top. Wait, Dead X-Men made number 50.
Okay. The Dead X-Men you shouldn't be reading anyway. But like the thing about that series or about that whole initiative is you're going to see a decline in sales just because you know it's over.
Well, that's why I went to January. I thought March would be real big.
No, but it's called Fall of X. They were already releasing Stegman art. Like we know it's done, and so I'm sure a ton of people, especially people who were habitually buying it but weren't really enjoying it, dropped off completely because they were like, "Oh, well, let's wait until the new thing is happening." Which is the problem with all comics in general. Which is like when you release certain piece of information, like when you say. Yeah. Everyone's leaving, or here's the next thing, or we're raising prices, or this book is on the chopping block for cancellation. You say these things, you're going to essentially damn your book to cancellation.
Yeah. Now, fun fact, and this is for those who are arguing about Zeb Wells, why he's still on the book. Number 4 book in terms of dollars was Gang War number 1 at issue 41.
Yeah,
but not even number 1. I think that was just a random issue of Gang War.
Yeah, no, I read the Spider-Man Free Comic Book Day. It's horrible.
I haven't read it. I didn't get the Marvel.
It's so terrible, and I don't understand. I don't get it. Like for your frustrations with Fall of X, I just like occasionally
at least Spider-Man is straightforward though. At least it's like, okay, it's not great, but I don't get confused what I should read next.
There's only one book. There's only one book.
He's not tying in to any of the other 3 Spider-Man books.
Well, like, only because he's got like it's one character, it's one book, it's one writer, it's one initiative, and he shouldn't have a big sprawling cast of characters anyway. You know, if you're reading about Peter Parker, you're not going to worry about like what Psylocke is up to. Like it's
but I have enjoyed the Daredevil moments and the Miles moments, and like
they're pretty cool.
Stuff was really fun in Gang War.
I wouldn't know.
She-Hulk's also in Iron Man. Why is she just in everything right now?
I don't know. I mean, maybe I would hope that anyone would be putting in annotations to remind you that her series is still going on.
Wait, is it?
Yeah, but
Is this like the Blade moment where I wasn't aware either?
yeah, no, She-Hulk is still coming out. It is nothing like any of the books we're talking about. It's like a rom-com book, but
I'm not against that though.
oh yeah, no, but it ain't these books. Like whatever, like there's no gang war tie-in to
Sensational?
Spider-Man or to She-Hulk. Yeah, Sensational She-Hulk. Yeah.
That's weird because she was in that. She's also in Iron Man. You'd think there'd be like a mention of like she's doing all this lawyer shit for Rhodey.
Yeah, they're not doing that.
I'm assuming you're reading Iron Man. You seem like you're reading it with the way you're responding.
I'm aware of what's going on in Iron Man.
Oh, okay. So you're not reading Iron Man.
No, but I'm not an Iron Man fan. So, it's like, look, yes, it could be planned out better. But when your whole conceit of the new initiative for Krakoa is do what you want, have fun. You're not going to get people going like, okay, now meticulously figure out like how it all fits in and what numbers are like. They're not going to do that. Also, there's just so many books. It would be borderline impossible to achieve.
Well, I'm trying to achieve it, Sal.
Yeah, and that's why. And you can't do it because in the DNA of the books, they inherently don't link. Some of them just don't link up, or they're so Wild West about it that things are happening because the writer wanted them to, but they don't make sense within the universe that they've created that they wanted to play it in the first place. I mean, like that X-Men is just like an affront. It's just like, here's something that I wanted to do before it all ended. Cool.
What happens if you keep mentioning Dead X-Men? I haven't gotten to that one yet. What is that one?
Just don't worry about it.
I'll just delete it off the Kindle.
Just don't worry about it.
What is it? What happens in it?
You remember the X-Men that like got killed immediately when they arrived at the Hellfire Gala?
Yeah.
And then everyone was like,
out that they were alive and it was whatever.
Yeah, and everybody was like, "Excuse me, you just created the most diverse group of X-Men in the world, and then you killed them all in one panel." Someone went, "Oh, well then here's a miniseries about them."
So what happens to them?
They came back to life using technology they don't have, and then watch them do their thing, and you're like, "No." So it's just. It doesn't really matter. Like because
the main book's like they're not dead, and I was like, oh, they're not dead. Of course they're not dead.
But that's all you need.
They're on Mars or they're in the desert or
right, exactly. They're just don't bother. But that's the thing. Like, isn't that freeing? Isn't it nice to go like, oh, I don't have to worry about that, or like, I don't have time.
Book? Why?
I don't. Well, they made it because like Ray Fox needed a job.
So I found one of these lists here. I got this one. This guy listed the most important things by level of how important they are.
Yeah.
Because his reading order is like just read all these books and then all these instead of the crazy ones that drive me nuts where they're like read one of this, 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 and now go back around, do this one again. Okay, now at this point you got to read these two issues. Now you got to go read that.
Yeah.
Like I get what you're trying to do,
but
it doesn't plug as easily together as you like to think it does.
No.
But he wrote like X-Men is involved, ongoing. It's a critical series. Immortal X-Men, critical, and I agree, both of those are critical.
Yes.
X-Men Red?
Yeah.
I didn't even know it was still going.
Yeah, it's over. But
that.
But it was, yeah. And the thing is, you need quality control.
Well, apparently there was a civil war happening on Arakko at the same time as the Hellfire Club issue. But it's plot important, but not just for X-Men Red, nothing else.
Exactly.
Invincible Iron Man is on here as plot important because it follows what happens to Iron Man, but very important if you want to know what's going on with the Iron Man Sentinels.
Yes, exactly. If you want to know how the Sentinels thing came up, yeah.
X-Force was funny because X-Force was just doing its own thing.
It's its own book. If you want to know what's happening with Beast and Colossus, read all of X-Force. That's all you need.
That's what X-Force was. Wolverine is listed as a character expansion.
Yes.
Because, he was like, yeah, I got to take care of Orcus. But first, I'm going to team up with Hulk and go fight my clones.
Yes. And then I got to fight. And then Sabretooth showed up, or the Sabreteeth.
Yeah. And then Weapons of Vengeance is on here as a 4-issue crossover.
You don't need that.
Ghost Rider. It's written as side story. Doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter at all. Nope.
Alpha Flight doesn't matter.
Nope. I don't understand why they even made it.
It explores the impact of the fall of X on the Canadian mutants, featuring the original Alpha Flight team and some related mutants.
No thanks. But like again, the freeing thing about that, the reason why they even did that is because the point of it, like the spirit of it, because Hickman was like, I'm telling a story and I'm doing my thing about X-Men and I have all these cool creative people who are going to help me build out the world. Yay. I get it. But when it became bigger and more alive than he expected, and when it like got away from him, it was like the spirit of it changed from you guys are helping me execute my vision to, well, now X-Men can be a place for creators to try stuff.
Yeah, which it
And
was. There was
and
a lot
that's
of
what
cool ideas.
right. And unfortunately, it's like you can't keep trying stuff under fall of like, while it's ending.
Yeah.
But that's also for a lot of creatives like the most opportune time to do that because honestly, no one's paying attention anyway.
Well, so Iron Man's listed as a side story, which just follows his struggle to
Agreed.
recover.
You really
after
don't
the-
need to read Iron Man. You,
No,
you
Iceman.
oh yeah, you don't need Iceman.
Children of the Vault is listed as important because it follows Cable and Bishop as they face off. Which, yeah, the Children of the Vault was an ongoing plot in X-Men.
It was an ongoing plot. And if you cared about that, that's that. If you didn't, don't worry about it.
Dark X-Men is spinning out a dark web featuring the
Didn't need
return
that.
of the character from Children of the Atom.
Don't worry about that.
And Madeline Pryor as she makes her own mutant team.
Yeah, don't worry about that either.
Jean Grey's listed as expanding on Jean Grey. Realm of X.
If you want to know more about that, if you want to know like how Jean was feeling and like tease where she's going to be and why she's important, then go for it. But otherwise, you don't.
Right. We have Realm of X, which was Curse's magic sends home a group of mutants through the gates of Vanaheim, one of the 10 realms for Norse magic quest to get home.
Yes, if you loved Ten of Swords, if you enjoyed Excalibur, that's your book.
Right. Miss Marvel is considered expansive for Miss Marvel, just exploring her new mutant identity undercover mission in a summer program for the X-Men.
Yep. It's a fun young kid book. I mean, not really kid book. It's a book about a kid. Enjoy. It's during the world. Like it's like if you want to live in Fall of X, read Miss Marvel.
Yeah. Uncanny Avengers is Steve Rogers following.
Skip that book entirely.
According to if you want to know about the Captain Krakoa that attacked DC, which was a plot point in Iron Man, that they were just like, "Hey, Steve, we're gonna go figure this out." Well, I'm busy. Let me know how that goes for you.
Yeah, exactly. No, Uncanny. The
it
problem
was like
is,
page. It was,
I know.
It was him. It was Iron Man, Steve, and I think Captain Marvel.
I think
like,
so.
We gotta go see. No, it was Rogue. They all show up.
You're
And they're
Rogue.
like, we gotta figure out what's going on with this Captain Krakoa. And like they land, and he's like, so it's not Cyclops, right? And Rogue's like, of course not. He goes, cool. Fill me in later.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, because like, do I care? It doesn't like. And the problem is, you know, some of those books are like really well written. You know, like some of the things like that you really like, that you really want to see. You know, stuff like anything written by Spurrier, Gillen, or Ewing, and what they're building out in their world, because they're also all talking to each other and they're all but if you don't care about that, you don't have to read it. But there is like a quality control thing. Like Uncanny Avengers, you know, and this is all subjective, but like Uncanny Avengers is just a pretty shitty book.
Was it this time around? Because it hasn't been in the past.
No, it hasn't been, and that's why I bought it. And then I read 2 issues and I'm like, nope.
Because I kind of want to see what's going on with that book, but I also want to reread the old book, because the old book has Deadpool, and I think it'd be fun to recover.
You
that
would
on
like
the
the old one better.
I do like the old one.
Yeah.
The only problem I have with the old one is it kind of resolves this overall plot in a different book.
It does. Yeah,
Because they go
really
fight
sucks.
Ultron in the main Avengers book.
I know. That's not fair. But yeah, no, it's a better book any other time.
Okay, so anyway, we got Uncanny Spider-Man, which is considered
you
important
don't need to
if
read.
you read Legion of X.
Yes, if you care, if you're reading if you're in Fall of X and you're like, I'm a Spurrier fan, read all Spurrier's books and you're good to go. They will pay off and they will connect or at least pay off some element to what you're reading. But if you're like, I'm reading Fall of X, I need to know what's going on with Xavier, Krakoa, and Moira, you're not going to get anything out of that.
Nope. And then X-Men Blue Origins is more about Nightcrawler's origin,
which you also don't need, but it's also just X-Men Blue Origins is literally just the next issue of Uncanny Spider-Man. It's in
according to this, it fits in before Uncanny 4 and 5.
It does, yes. So it's like Uncanny 3.5.
So, but not done yet. Over on the web app, we've got X Vote Candidates, which was a look back at the 6 X-Men that were voted to going into leading up to the Hellfire Gala.
Ah, okay.
It don't matter because I think 5 of them were killed.
Yes, and I'm not reading web books. Like, you know, maybe I will if like I hear they're great, but like,
well, here's
I don't have your app.
I'm gonna say the plots of these other. There's 4 total that are supposedly incorporated.
Right.
None of these are gonna. So issues 106 to 111 is the Red Root saga, which explores Sunfire's journey to rescue Red Root in the other world.
Okay, have fun.
Yeah, like I know who Sunfire is.
Yeah, I know who that is, but why do I care?
And issues 12 through 17 is more about Firestar.
Yes.
Which she was undercover.
Yes.
Okay, kind of interesting if you're really deep into what's going on with Firestar. And then 118 to 120 is the Red Winter Sun, which deals with the aftermath of the Iraqi Civil War in X-Men Red and explores Bay the Blood Moon after the recent events in Immortal X-Men. So none of this is whatever, you know?
Yeah, no, I know.
And then this guy didn't even put Dead X-Men on here. So according to you, it's probably for the better anyway.
Yes. You're good. But yeah, no, I mean, like, I understand the complaints. It's just like, this is what they were going for. Not your confusion, but rather like they were hoping that you were not going to care enough to be confused. That you were instead going to be either like entertained or enjoying whatever you were reading. And if you were in on it, you're good to go.
And Dan linked to prove you wrong on Marvel's website.
Yeah.
There is an image that clearly says that Fall of X is an event.
Yes. I said like I corrected myself to say like Marvel is referring to it as an event, but Marvel doesn't know anything about what's going on in their own company. So like, you know, I mean, not to backtrack, but I will say like, yes, it is technically an event in as much as like, I mean, like you need to know that this is the initiative that they are using to end the Krakoa period. Yeah, that's technically an event, but it's also an event within an initiative like the original Inferno, not the one that Hickman wrote, the Inferno where it was like, there are demons in Madeline Pryor and crap. Like there are a lot of random tie-ins to Inferno that have nothing to do with it. Atlantis attacks. Like X-Men has events that are also initiatives because they're also just like stuff that happens.
Yeah. So,
but anyway, yes, it is confusing and it is baffling. It is frustrating. And I totally understand that, but know that it must not have sold well enough for them to care because it's over.
Yeah, that's just it. It's all over now. And what I love is our little side, just bonus Absolute Comics episode is about 40 minutes long of us.
Right, yeah, there we go.
All right, so I think at this point, let us know in the comments down below. Do you think that this is an event or an initiative? And I want to know.
Or both.
Or both. And I want to know this because Rob at Comics Explained has had the same argument that Salas had with me where it's not difficult to follow.
No, I didn't say it's not difficult to follow. It's just you pick and choose. You're not used to reading comics.
Okay, then we have three arguments. Yours is I can pick and choose what I want. I'm stating this is an event. They should make it clear what I need to read. And Rob's argument is this isn't confusing at all. Just read all X-Men and you're fine.
Yeah, no, that's
literally his argument.
Yeah, that's an outrageous expectation. Like for me, I'm like, look, they need to be clearer. Like they needed to get their creatives in front of a microphone, you know what I mean, and say like, explain your like thought process, your reasoning, your rationale. Like explain like what you're thinking, and for them to say things like, you know, oh, we want you to just pick and choose and read what you like. And if you're confused or you're outraged or whatever, read an online thing. But like for the most part, like just read what you like and don't read it if you don't enjoy it. You know, like you can pick and choose. And I don't know. It's weird. It's weird that they wouldn't do that. It's weird because clearly that's what they want, right? They want you to pick and choose.
Clearly if they want you to buy all the X-Men books, going all the way back to Nick Spencer's argument during Secret Empire when people were like, why is the story spread out like this? And he says, because it proves it sells.
Yes. I mean, like, looking at the new initiative from Marvel, like, you know, going forward, you know, like you're looking at, you know, the whole thing from Free Comic Book Day where they're like, look at the books that are coming out, you know, where they're really excited about it. They give you a little list. Here it is. And you get the titles. We talked about them. We actually did a whole video on them where it's like X-Men, Exceptional X-Men, Uncanny X-Men, and then there's like 7 or 8 and more titles. But like the way that they broke them down, they're like, these are the books we want you all to read. The books.
Oh yeah, no, there's the 3 core ones this time. We're
3 core X-Men books.
The X-Men down to 3 core books.
Yes, and then you can read 6 other random books that will have nothing or very little to do with these.
What are they? Because we know about the 3. What are the extra 6?
Oh, Phoenix, NYX, X-Factor, X-Force, Storm, and Wolverine. Now you have essentially
Storm? I didn't realize Storm was getting her own book.
Storm's getting her own book, and
how long has it been? It's been a long time.
No, and Storm had her own book just recently, but like, you know. But they're throwing out the logo. Every logo they're bringing back is the ones from the 90s. So
because they're leaning hard into the 97 thing, which you have a weird theory is what's going with that. But the MCU now even says, yeah, you know what? It's 97 is also canon.
Yeah, that's also the thing. The funny thing is, you know, it's like 2, 4, 6. You got 6 side titles and 3 big titles, and I'm sure that like they're going to tell you it's gonna be so easy to follow, it's gonna be so easy to read. And you know, X-Men by McKay, Exceptional by Ewing, and Uncanny by Simone. They're all going to be their own kind of books, but they're all going to like reference each other. You know, there's going to be a big friggin' event that's going to have all these books in it. Because that's what they
like a year.
Yeah, that's less than a year. I bet like by
you're going less than it because it starts in June, right? June, July.
Yeah. By
So
December,
I say next summer is the first big X-Men event.
you'll see art for it.
Okay.
Like
But
you'll see.
you're agreeing that it'll be the summer event?
Oh yeah. No, there has to be. But they'll be like they're all going to be connected. And you're going to have to read all of them because you know what, Brevoort was there when they were doing it back then, and all those X-Men books, like Executioner, Song, and so forth. They were all part of it, and they were all doing that.
And I'm
So-
okay if you want to incorporate 7 books or whatever, because we've done it over at DC, we've done it at Marvel, it works.
Well, and we
What?
did it at X-Men when we did
We're
Ten of
doing a
Swords.
Blood Hunt right now.
Yeah.
Like, have you seen the Blood Hunt rating?
Oh yeah.
Let's see if I can get it up real quick. Blood Hunt is the new event that just started.
Yep.
Yeah, there it is. So it technically started with Vengeance of Moon Knight because he just carried into his next thing. But whatever.
Yeah,
we'll
because
say-
just McKay wrote it. Yeah.
yeah. So we'll just say Blood Hunt 1. Apparently, Amazing Spider-Man 49 is going to be incorporated.
Yep.
And then we got Avengers 14, Blood Hunters 1.
Mm-hmm.
Doctor Strange, Dracula Blood Hunt, Strange Academy Blood Hunt, Venom 2033 is involved.
Oh, there's a ton of Blood Hunt tie-ins. Oh yeah.
Oh, but they're doing that again. Wait, the Venom cover shows back to Eddie. Wait, what happened to Dylan? I'm still catching up. What happened to Dylan?
You got to read Venom War.
When was Venom War?
It's happening. It's happening.
Oh,
It's not.
Okay, because I'm caught up to where Black Widow is a Venom, which I think is probably one of the coolest ideas they've done with it.
That's a great idea.
Have you been reading it?
No.
Okay, so 2 seconds. I'll make this 2 seconds, and we'll do a whole episode of me trying to explain what the has been happening on Venom. Okay.
Yeah.
Next week, that'll be the next rant because we don't have time today.
No.
Because Venom is the most confusing shit right alongside X-Men. But the problem with that is Venom has 1 book.
Yes.
So instead of it being like, oh, it's 7 books and they're all confusing, Venom's just like, now we're going to tell you a story about Dylan. Now we're going to tell you a story about Eddie. Now we're going to tell you a story about Dylan. Now we're going to go back in time with Eddie. Now we're going to the World War II. Now we're going to Eddie. Now we're going to Dylan.
I heard,
you know
like-
what? You need a break? Black Widow. What?
Yeah,
Black
yeah.
Widow.
I heard I had heard that like X-Men that Venom was great, and then I read I saw how it bounced around. I'm like, no.
Venom is the same. Venom 1 through 13 is incredible as trades.
Right.
When it's done, okay? Venom, because then he goes into Dark Web. So then 16 to 25 is the same thing. Works great when you read it in a sitting.
Sure.
Okay?
Yeah.
25, I don't know what happened, but they're like, Al Ewing will be back. We're going over to the new writer to see what's going on with Black Widow.
Okay.
And Black Widow got a symbiote.
Right.
And then, which I guess happened in Black Widow, but she just has it. She teams up with Dylan and Normie, which is the grandson who's the Red Goblin.
Yep.
So the 3 of them are on an adventure. We then cut back to Eddie, picking up where that left off.
Great. That sounds like a nightmare.
It's literally the equivalent of 4 books worth of. In the middle of all this, I want to let you know there's a guy named Flexo who's a World War II symbiote that Doctor Doom is using as a weapon against Eddie.
Great.
And unless I forgot, I don't think that's been resolved yet. I think that's still going on. So,
All right, cool.
But the point I'm making is,
Yeah.
Venom is the equivalent of 4 comic books crammed into 1.
At least it's 1 book. That's easy to read.
Right. You just open it and go, oh, it's a Dylan issue. I'll be back to this.
Well, that was actually to tie it in with X-Men again, that was when I was reading New Mutants, where I was like, this is such a great book. It was some fantastic art, and it was written, I believe, by Hickman. And then occasionally I'd pick up another issue and it'd be about Beak and some farm. And I'm like, I'm in space.
This is the biggest thing that I could tell people that is the biggest issue. This is actually why Comic Story doesn't have as many Marvel books as we do DC.
Yeah.
DC writes a book, Marvel writes a series.
Yep.
Like Iron Man right now, yes, technically the autobiography of Tony Stark is chapters 1 through 5.
Yep.
But it doesn't end.
No.
It just moves into the next portion of it.
That's very
And
Marvel.
that's how Marvel handles things.
Yep.
You buy Iron Man, 1 through 20 is going to be this one sprawling story. And Venom is very much just like that.
Yeah.
Just like Spider-Man is 1 through 49 right now. It's one ongoing plot.
That's true.
They are doing it similar to manga, where it's chapter by chapter by chapter by chapter.
Right.
They mix it up with some weird spin-offs, some crossovers, stuff like that.
Well, and they got 2 tie-ins for an event or something.
Right. And they do that, and that's fine. DC, on the other hand, will do an entire story in a 3 to 6 issue arc, and it's done.
Yeah.
And they'll leave plot threads that then go into the next arc. Like Green Arrow 1 through 6 is done.
Yeah.
But 7 through 12 continues what was going on.
Yep.
But it also has a new direction.
Yeah. I mean, Marvel does that occasionally. It depends on what the books they're doing.
But most of the books just continually go, though. Like Venom
That's true.
has just been one story.
That's right.
But 4 of them crammed into 1.
Yes.
Spider-Man has pretty much been one story about what is going on, and it had a break off at 25.
Well, they do a reset every 6 to 8 issues. They just like, but there'll always be the undercurrent of whatever the big thing is. I don't know if I like that idea. Like, I don't know if I agree that that's like the decision they should be making, but like, it's what they've been doing.
So, it's just the way. In my opinion, it's just how Marvel handles the stories versus DC. The
It's
reason we do more DC on Comic Historian is not because I'm a huge bigger DC fan.
no, it's just it's
because
just easier.
It's easier to make those videos.
Yes, yes.
And then when I try to do something like, oh, we're gonna cover Fall of X, I got to pull this shit up and be like, all right, how the f are we doing this one?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like my approach to Fall, if I was covering Fall of X the way you were, I'd just be like, I would wait until it's over.
Well, it is now.
determine what
We're at the end.
matters.
Yeah,
Right.
we're at the end. And that's
No,
what I'm
I mean,
figuring out.
I wait until it was done, like until the next issue of Simone's book comes out, and then I go, all right, so let's take a look, like what mattered and what were the and what did the trades say, like, and moreover, like what did I think was really more important? I mean, that's certainly like, I mean, we know that's how Rob approaches it, right? Like he knows, like for him, it's like whatever he deemed to be important happened. That's what he's gonna talk about. I mean, like, and I think that's how people really interpret art anyway. So I mean, I get it.
So, all right. Well, this is pretty much a full episode of Absolute Comics.
Yeah, it's true.
So we will be back tomorrow, guys. We're going to end this episode right here. I appreciate you watching this all the way through. As I said 10 minutes ago when we thought I was ending this, let me know in the comments down below what you think.
Yes.
Do you think this is an event, an initiative, or and also how do you think that you should have to read all of it? Do you think you should have to read one big event like I would prefer? I'd prefer it just to be Fall of X 1 through 40 and just tell me what the hell's going on.
It would be cleaner, yeah.
It would be so much cleaner. You know, I'd prefer to pick up a book like I do with Venom and go, oh, it's a Dylan issue, and put it aside.
Yeah.
Instead of going, when did Xavier go forward in time?
Like, or just being like, oh, Fall of X, and then reading it, then realizing that you just read Dead X-Men, and you were like, oh, wait, that didn't matter at all. Like,
or Uncanny Avengers, or
right,
Uncanny Spider-Man. Or...
I was reading Uncanny Avengers so I could like be part of the conversation, and I was like, and then after like 2 issues, I went, oh, I see where you're going. Nope, you don't care. You don't care what I think. You don't care what I want to do. Moving on.
So anyway, guys, let us know in the comments down below, and we'll see you later right here at Absolute Comics.